I want to start this story somewhere quiet because power rarely announces itself when it's being formed. It grows in silence, in rooms where no one is watching, in moments where doubt speaks louder than confidence. Jeanie Buss did not grow up dreaming of owning the Los Angeles Lakers. She grew up inside an orbit where attention was constant, expectations were unspoken, and comparison was unavoidable. Her father, Jeanie Buss, was larger than life, charismatic, visionary, a man who turned sports into entertainment and entertainment into spectacle. From the outside, it looked glamorous. From the inside, it was complicated. Being the daughter of a legend does not automatically grant authority. More often, it erases individuality. People don't see you, they see proximity. You are not evaluated on your judgment, but on your bloodline. Every success is discounted. Every mistake is magnified. Jeanie learned this early. She worked inside the family business from a young age, not in ceremonial roles, but in places where the work was unglamorous. Ticket offices, operations, minor league teams no one paid attention to. She was not groomed for the spotlight. She was tested in the margins, and yet, even with proximity to power, she was invisible in a different way. Sports ownership was, and largely still is, a male world that speaks its own language. Aggression is admired, certainty is rewarded, vulnerability is punished. For a woman, especially one perceived as soft or privileged, credibility is assumed absent until proven relentlessly. Jeanie did not walk into rooms expecting respect. She walked in knowing she would have to earn it repeatedly, often from the same people, often without acknowledgement when she did. She also carried something heavier than professional skepticism. She carried loneliness. Growing up surrounded by fame does not guarantee emotional safety. In many ways, it amplifies isolation. Trust becomes conditional. Relationships blur into transactions. Love feels tied to performance. Over time, pressure accumulates quietly, and when pressure has nowhere to go, it turns inward. Jeanie struggled, not publicly at first, privately, with depression that did not match the image people projected onto her, with alcohol that dulled anxiety but deepened despair, with the exhausting effort of holding herself together while convincing others she belonged. This part of her story is often summarized in a sentence, if it's mentioned at all. But lived from the inside, it stretched across years. Mornings that felt heavy before they began. Nights that ended without rest. A sense of being surrounded yet unseen. The world assumes strength looks like control. Jeanie learned that real strength often looks like endurance. She did not collapse. She functioned. And functioning can be the most dangerous place to stay because it hides pain effectively. You still show up. You still smile. You still meet expectations. And no one asks how much it costs. Inside the Lakers organization, her role was always questioned. Not overtly, but subtly. Conversations happened around her, not with her. Decisions were attributed to others. Authority was assumed male by default. She noticed, she remembered. Then came the fractures within the family. Power, when shared ambiguously, becomes volatile. After Jeanie Buss's health declined and later after his death, divisions sharpened. Different visions, different leadership styles, different interpretations of legacy. Jeanie found herself not only underestimated, but actively challenged. Her authority questioned not by outsiders, but by those closest to her. At one point, she was removed from key decision-making roles, fired effectively from the control she had helped build. For many, that would have been the end. A quiet retreat, a symbolic presence without real influence. For Jeanie, it became a reckoning. Loss strips illusion, it forces clarity. She confronted not only external opposition, but internal patterns that no longer served her. She sought sobriety. She faced depression honestly. She stopped numbing discomfort and began listening to it. Recovery was not cinematic. It was disciplined, humbling, ongoing. As she rebuilt herself, something shifted. She no longer tried to be agreeable. She no longer tried to soften her voice to fit expectations. She stopped seeking permission to lead. What emerged was not aggression, but steadiness. She understood the Lakers not as a brand, but as a culture. She had watched it from every angle. The glamour, the dysfunction, the egos, the loyalty, the cost of poor leadership, the power of aligned vision. When the legal and organizational battles reached their peak, Jeanie did not win by force. She won by persistence, preparation, and an unshakable belief that stewardship mattered more than optics. Control returned to her hands not because the world suddenly trusted her, but because she had outlasted doubt. Owning the Lakers was never about dominance. It was about responsibility, about protecting something larger than herself from short-term thinking. And when she finally stood at the center of authority, the moment was quiet. No victory lap, no apology tour, just work. She hired carefully, she delegated wisely, she listened deeply, she made mistakes and corrected them without deflection. She resisted the urge to prove anything. That restraint confused critics. Then it silenced them. But before championships, before validation, before public acknowledgement, there was a woman who learned to stand upright in rooms that did not want her standing at all. This is where her story truly begins. Not with ownership, but with survival. Once Jeanie Buss regained her footing, something inside her hardened into clarity. Not bitterness, not defiance, clarity. She understood now that leadership does not announce itself. It asserts itself through consistency, especially when pressure tries to distort judgment. The NBA did not suddenly welcome her. Owners' meetings still carried the weight of old hierarchies. Conversations still assumed she was there because of inheritance, not competence. She did not correct them. She observed. She learned who spoke with substance and who spoke to be heard. Power reveals itself in patterns. She noticed how many decisions in professional sports were driven by ego rather than stewardship. How loyalty was praised publicly but traded privately. How short-term wins were often chosen over long-term culture. Jeanie did not rush to reshape any of it. She absorbed it. Inside the Lakers organization, trust had been fractured. Years of internal conflict had left employees uncertain, cautious, emotionally fatigued. Jeanie understood something critical at this stage. Before you can lead forward, you must stabilize what is shaking. She focused first on people, not stars. She rebuilt quiet confidence behind the scenes, clear roles, clear expectations, fewer voices with unchecked authority. She did not promise miracles, she promised accountability. That alone shifted the tone. Externally, the media waited for spectacle. They wanted proof of failure or proof of dominance. She gave them neither. She operated deliberately, even when patience looked like weakness. Critics misread her silence. They thought it meant hesitation. In reality, it meant preparation. One of the hardest lessons she had learned through addiction and recovery was this: urgency is not the same as importance. Acting too quickly often satisfies anxiety, not wisdom. She refused to govern from fear. Still, doubt did not vanish. It resurfaced in subtler ways. Late nights, quiet moments where the weight of expectation pressed inward. She did not romanticize resilience. She respected its cost. Sobriety sharpened her awareness. Emotions arrived without anesthesia. Stress had nowhere to hide, but clarity followed. She could finally separate her own voice from the echo of others' opinions. She trusted that voice now. That trust would be tested publicly when basketball decisions began to fail. Trades that didn't land, seasons that disappointed. The Lakers, a franchise associated with dominance, slipped into mediocrity. The narrative sharpened. She can't run a team. She's emotional. She's in over her head. Jeanie did not argue. She took responsibility without surrendering authority. That distinction mattered. Leaders who deflect lose credibility. Leaders who absorb without breaking earn it slowly. She adjusted. She learned. She changed advisors when necessary. She accepted that mistakes were not evidence of incapacity, but part of the cost of rebuilding. And then came a moment that would redefine her tenure, a decision that required choosing between loyalty and direction, between comfort and clarity, between being liked and being respected. She chose clarity. It cost her relationships. It cost her sleep. It cost her public goodwill in the short term, but it aligned the organization toward a singular vision again. People underestimate how difficult it is to disappoint others when you've spent a lifetime being underestimated. Saying no can feel like betrayal when approval once felt scarce. Jeanie learned that leadership demands disappointment. Someone will always be unhappy. The question is whether you disappoint with intention or drift into it accidentally. As the Lakers slowly reoriented, something else changed. Players noticed, agents noticed, the league noticed. Stability returned, and with it, opportunity. But this story is not about championships yet. It is about a woman learning to trust her judgment in a world trained to doubt it. It is about standing steady while narratives swirl, refusing to be dragged into reaction. Because long before banners rise, foundations must settle. and Jeanie Buss was still building hers. As the organization steadied, Jeanie Buss began to experience something unfamiliar. Not approval, but pause. The noise softened just enough for people to watch instead of judge, and in that quiet, expectations shifted. She understood this phase well. It was more dangerous than open criticism. When people stop attacking, they start waiting for confirmation, waiting for collapse, waiting for proof that the skepticism was justified all along. Jeanie did not rush to satisfy that waiting. She focused on alignment instead. Basketball at its highest level is not just about talent. It is about coherence. Front office vision must match coaching philosophy. Culture must support pressure. Leadership must be visible but not intrusive. She learned this not from textbooks, but from years of watching dysfunction up close. The moments when ego derailed strategy, when loyalty protected mediocrity, when fear of backlash delayed necessary change. Now, with authority finally consolidated, she had to make choices that would echo for years. One of the hardest lessons from recovery had taught her this. Clarity requires boundaries. Without them, everything blurs, including responsibility. She began setting those boundaries firmly. Not loudly, firmly. Decisions were communicated clearly. Expectations were documented. Power structures were simplified. This was not glamorous work. It did not make headlines, but it created stability where chaos once lived. And still, the weight followed her. There is a particular loneliness that comes with leadership, especially when you are the first of your kind in a space. There is no mirror, no precedent that feels close enough to guide you. Every misstep feels amplified because it confirms someone else's narrative. Jeanie learned to sit with that loneliness rather than escape it. She stopped over-explaining. She stopped justifying. She trusted that consistency would speak louder than defense ever could. Then opportunity arrived, not as a gift, but as a challenge. The chance to reshape the Lakers' future through bold moves. High-risk decisions involving stars, contracts, and long-term consequences. The kind of decisions that define ownership, not just management. She did not rush. She consulted widely, but decided privately. That balance mattered. Advice informs. Responsibility remained singular. When the moves were made, reactions were extreme. Praise from some, condemnation from others. The familiar cycle returned. Jeanie stayed steady. What surprised many was not her decisiveness, but her restraint. She did not interfere with coaching decisions unnecessarily. She did not chase headlines. She allowed professionals to operate within clearly defined roles. Trust became the operating principle. Slowly, the culture responded. Players sensed it, coaches felt it. The Lakers began to feel like a unified organism again, rather than a collection of competing interests. Then came success. Not sudden, earned. Championship contention returned, validation followed, headlines shifted tone. The same voices that once questioned her capacity began reframing her narrative. Jeanie did not indulge in vindication. She knew how quickly narratives turn. She had lived on the other side of applause long enough to understand its volatility. What mattered more to her was something quieter. She had stood in rooms where she was underestimated, in moments where her sobriety was tested, in seasons where failure felt personal. She had not numbed herself. She had not retreated. She had endured without hardening. That balance became her true achievement. Owning the Lakers was no longer just a title. It was a responsibility she carried consciously. She protected the organization not as a possession, but as a legacy larger than any individual, including herself. And in doing so, she redefined power in a space that rarely makes room for softness paired with strength. But this story is not finished yet, because leadership is not proven in ascent alone. It is proven in maintenance. Maintenance is the least celebrated phase of leadership, yet it is where most legacies quietly unravel. Jeanie Buss understood this intuitively. She had seen empires wobble not from lack of vision, but from neglect after victory. Success relaxes vigilance. Comfort dulls listening. She refused that drift. After championships returned and the Lakers reclaimed relevance, she resisted the temptation to freeze the moment. Nostalgia is seductive in iconic franchises. It whispers that what worked once will work forever. Jeanie knew better. She had grown up watching eras rise and fall. She respected history without worshiping it. She kept asking the same questions, even when others preferred certainty. Are we still aligned? Are voices being heard or merely tolerated? Are decisions being made for growth or for optics? These questions did not always make her popular. Stability often invites complacency, and she disrupted it gently but persistently. She encouraged dissent behind closed doors. She demanded preparation. She expected honesty even when it complicated consensus. The pressure never disappeared. If anything, it intensified. As a woman at the top, her margin for error remained thinner. A mistake by her peers could be framed as bad luck. A mistake by her was framed as proof. She accepted that reality without internalizing it. What grounded her was the discipline she had built in recovery. Sobriety had taught her how to sit with discomfort without reacting. Depression had taught her to separate feelings from facts. Being fired had taught her that titles can vanish overnight, but self-respect cannot be taken unless surrendered. She invested time in mental health advocacy quietly, without branding. She mentored women entering male-dominated industries, not by promising fairness, but by teaching resilience without cynicism. She did not sugarcoat the cost. She honored it. Jeanie also learned how to let go in healthier ways. Control had once felt like safety. Now she understood that trust, when structured well, multiplies capacity. She empowered leadership beneath her, allowing new voices to shape the future while she guarded the core values. That balance between involvement and distance took years to refine. Privately, she reflected often on her father, on what he had built and what he had not been able to protect. Legacy, she realized, is not continuation of style. It is continuation of principle. Entertainment mattered. Excellence mattered. But so did integrity. She was no longer trying to prove she belonged. She belonged because she stayed when it was hardest, because she absorbed criticism without losing direction, because she chose responsibility over relief. The industry began to shift, slowly. More women entered ownership conversations. More voices questioned the old norms. Jeanie did not claim credit. Change rarely traces cleanly to a single person. It accumulates through presence. And presence, she had learned, is an act of courage. Standing in a world that doubts you, leading in a culture that underestimates you, remaining sober, clear, and grounded when escape would be easier. That is power without spectacle. Jeanie Buss did not redefine leadership by force. She did it by refusal. Refusal to disappear. Refusal to perform weakness or aggression to satisfy expectation. Refusal to let pain harden her into someone unrecognizable. She stood again and again, and that is why this story matters. Not because of trophies or headlines, but because it shows what leadership looks like when survival comes first, clarity follows, and authority grows from endurance. As time passed, Jeanie Buss reached a place that few leaders ever arrive at consciously. She no longer needed the role to confirm her worth. Ownership had become a function, not an identity. That separation gave her a rare kind of freedom. She could now see the arc of her life with honesty. The early invisibility, the pressure to perform without permission, the years of numbing pain instead of naming it, the humiliation of being removed from power she had helped sustain, the slow, unglamorous work of recovery. None of it felt wasted anymore. She understood that leadership is not born in moments of authority. It is forged in moments of doubt, the times when quitting would have been reasonable, when disappearing would have been easier, when surrendering to someone else's narrative would have required less energy. What made the difference was not toughness. It was commitment to presence. Jeanie never tried to dominate the league. She tried to honor what she was responsible for. That distinction shaped every decision she made. She did not lead with spectacle. She led with steadiness. And steadiness is rarely celebrated until it is gone. She learned to accept that admiration is not the reward for integrity. Alignment is. Sleeping without running from yourself, waking without dread, leading without pretending. In a world that often mistakes volume for strength, she embodied something quieter. Strength that does not need to convince. Authority that does not announce itself. Confidence that survives silence. The Lakers will eventually change hands. All institutions do. But the cultural shift she helped normalize will linger longer than ownership papers. The idea that leadership does not need to fit a single gender, tone, or personality to be effective. That recovery is not weakness. That patience is not passivity. That standing your ground does not require shouting. Jeanie Buss did not defeat the world that doubted her. She outlived its assumptions. And that is often how real change happens. Not through confrontation, but through continuity, through showing up again after being dismissed, through choosing clarity when confusion would excuse retreat. If this story leaves anything behind, let it be this. You do not have to be believed to be capable. You do not have to be welcome to belong. You do not have to be unbroken to lead. You only have to stand long enough for the ground beneath you to recognize your weight. That is how Jeanie Buss stood, and that is why she remains.